यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री चैतन्य चरितामृता की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Mukundadatta Prabhu was supposed to give the class today. I came here to listen to his class. And then he's not here, so we'll see what we can do. Okay, I think we are on chapter 8, text 206, 28, 206. Okay, we'll start with the Mangalacharana. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyamadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Please repeat. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Madhya Leela, entitled Talks Between the Lord and Ramanand Rai. And this is chapter 8. We are on text 206. Okay. I have no idea what this meter is. Vibhurapi Shukarupa Swaprakashopi Bhava Kshanamapi. Oh, okay, we can do it. Vibhurapi Shukarupa Swaprakashopi Bhava Kshanamapi nahi Radha Krishna Yoryarte Swa Pravahati Rasa Pushtim Chidvibhutirivesha Shrayati na padamasham kashakinam rasagnya Vibhurapi Shukarupa Swaprakashopi Bhava Kshanamapi nahi Radha Krishnayoryarte swa. Pravahati rasa pushtim chidvibhutirivesha. Shrayati na padamasham kashakinam rasagya. Somebody wants to chant? Vibhurapi sukarupa swaprakashopi bhava. Shanamapi na radha Krishna yorya hrite swa. Pushtem chid vibhutirivesha. Shrayati na padamasam kasakina. Vibhurapi shukarupa saprakashopi bhava. Vibhurapi sukarupa swaprakashopi bhava. Shanamapi nahi Radha Krishna yorya hrite swa. Pravahati rasa pushtim chid vibhutirveha. Nam rasagya. Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, this is the word for word. Vibhu, all powerful. Api, although. Shukarupa, happiness personified. Swaprakasha, self-effulgent. Api, although. Bhava, the complete spiritual activities. Kshanamapi, even for a moment. Na, never. He, certainly. Radha Krishnayo, of Sri Radha and Krishna. Yaha, whom. Rite, without. Swaha, his own entourage, the gopis. Pravahati, leads to. Rasa pushtim, completion of the highest humor. Chid vibhuti, spiritual potencies. Iva, like. Isha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shrayati, takes shelter of. Na, not. Padam, the position. Asham, of them. Kaha, who. Shakinam, of the personal associates. Rasagnya, one who is conversant with the signs of mallows. Translation. The pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna are self-effulgent, their happiness personified, unlimited, and all-powerful. Even so, the spiritual humors of such pastimes are never complete without the gopis, the Lord's personal friends. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is never complete without his spiritual potencies. Therefore, unless one takes shelter of the gopis, one cannot enter into the company of Radha and Krishna. Who can be interested in their spiritual pastimes without taking their shelter? Purport. This is a quotation from Govinda Leelamrita 10:17. Very easy verse. But this is the nature of this chapter, is that it's going higher and higher and higher and higher. This is the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they start with doing your duty, right? This is how Ramananda Rai starts. What is religion? Is that the question he asks? And then he says, oh, tell me something more, tell me something more, tell me something more. And he's going higher and higher and higher. And I think the previous section spoke about Srimati Radharani, the highest. And then to give a context of what this section is speaking about, the previous two verses, 204 and 205, Ramananda Rai said, actually one was before, 203. It's the same context. It says, without the gopis, these pastimes between Radha and Krishna cannot be nourished. Only by their cooperation are such pastimes broadcast. It is their business to taste the mellows. And then he continues, without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only he who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, following in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Shri Radha Krishna in the bushes of Vrindavan. Only then can one understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. And now here he continues in this verse about how the pastimes of Radha and Krishna by themselves are self-effulgent, but without the gopis, again, they're incomplete. The gopis are very much required to continue the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in the pleasure groves of Vrindavan. This is something that we pray every day in the morning, isn't it? Do we know what it is that we pray? Yeah, when we do the Tulsi worship, we are asking for this. Seva adhikaro diye koro nijo dashi. This is what all of us are aspiring for, is to somehow serve as the servants of the gopis of Vrindavan. But where do we start? Where does all of this start? What is the first step in all of this? So the aspiration for us is to serve as the servants of the gopis. Right? This is what we're praying for. But what is the first step in achieving that aspiration? Faith. This is the point. This is how all of it starts, right? Adav Shraddha. This entire process of devotional service starts with a little faith. What is this little faith? That we say, hey, there is this program here, I'm going to go and check it out. If it's okay, I'm going to probably come back again. If it's not, probably I might not come back. We have some little faith that we start this process with, Adav Shraddha. Then what happens is when we come into this association of devotees, then we say these people are not so bad. I can probably associate with them. And we start coming back again and again and again. And then what happens through this is the process called Sadhu Sangha. Right? Adav Shraddha. Our little faith puts us in association with the devotees. And when we are in association with the devotees, then we want to associate with them more and more and more. And then as a result of this, what all of us figure out finally is that, oh, this is something I really want to take up in my life. This is the process I want to follow. And what is that stage called? Bhajana Kriya, right? Okay, I really like what these people are doing. I really like the goal, the destination, and therefore I will start this practice seriously. And this is Bhajana Kriya. As a result of this, what happens is Anartha Nivritti. Anartha means what? Unwanted things, literally. It's unwanted things. We have so many unwanted things. So all those unwanted things start going away. Unwanted in what sense? Is that our natural identity is that we are spirit souls and we are spiritual, but because of our identification with this body, we have practically everything that is unwanted. Therefore, all these unwanted things start slowly fading away. And as we continue our bhajan, our practice of devotional service, we come to this point of nishta, where we are completely stable, where nobody has to tell us to wake up for Mangalarti, nobody has to tell us to chant our rounds. We are very fixed in our practice of devotional service, nishta. And when we are in this platform of Nishta, we really need to come to this platform of Nishta to actually progress. Without Nishta, progress is very hard beyond the point of Nishta. When we are in the point of Nishta, Nishta means stability. We are very stable in our practice of devotional service. Then we get Ruchi, taste. The taste is there when we are practicing devotional service. That's why we are able to practice. But this is not the actual taste. This is like the shadow. We get some sense of what it is. But the actual taste of devotional service, we get at the point of stability, at the point of Nishta. So at this point, till the point of Adav Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, and till we get the point of Ruchi, the practice of devotional service is called, in general, Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti means we have certain regulations, rules and regulations, and certain regiment on how we should practice devotional service, because we don't have this spontaneous affection to Krishna, love for Krishna. It is dormant in our hearts. We still don't have that yet because of so much conditioning that we've had in this material world. But through this process of devotional service, through sadhana bhakti, what happens at this point of ruchi is this spontaneity starts awakening in ourselves. Nobody has to tell us to do anything. We spontaneously want to love Krishna. And this is the point where we get spontaneity in devotional service. And still it is sadhana bhakti because we still don't know how to practice the spontaneous devotional service. Somebody still has to guide us, right? We are not perfect yet. The perfection of devotional service is what? Prema, right? Pure love of Godhead. We're still not there yet. We have some taste of it. But somebody has to channel our taste and guide us on how to actually practice this devotional service properly. So especially this taste that we get, when we get this taste, we somehow get a preview of the relationship that we have with Krishna also. In what rasa that we actually have this relationship with Krishna. And we can have relationship with Krishna in 5 rasas, right? 5 major relationships that we can have. What are the 5? Shanta means in the mood of on reverence. The Govindam plays forever. This is it. You can keep seeing the Lord as the greatest of all. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Right? This is it. This is Krishna and Vaikunta. And then the next higher relationship is Dasya Rasa. Dasya means there is some interaction between us and the Lord. At that point it starts. We want to be the servants of the Lord. We want to do something for the Lord. But a little bit higher than that is Sakya. Sakya means you actually can become friends with the Lord. Right now you're almost equals. Right? You're friends with the Lord. And then the interaction is much more intimate. Much more. There is still this mood of on reverence in Dasya. But when you're becoming friends, it gets lower and lower. And higher than that is Vatsalya. Means you can have this relationship of parenthood with the Lord, where the Lord is actually subservient to you. Actually, in all of these, the Lord becomes very subservient to you. And then the highest of all the rasas or relationships that we can have is conjugal. The conjugal relationship that we can have. This is Madhurya. So all of us, when we actually get to this point of spontaneous devotional service, we actually can know our affinity in one of these 5 relationships with the Lord. And at this point, what the Nectar of Devotion says is, for you to perfect your service in such a relationship, you have to take shelter of some devotee who has actually already perfected their service in such a relationship with the Lord. Such devotees are called what? We have read this. Yeah, such devotees are called Ragatmika devotees. Ragatmika devotees are devotees of the Lord whose very raga, whose very atma is that raga. Atma means their very being is that attachment to Krishna in that relationship. And they've perfected their service to Krishna in that relationship. And specifically the relationship that we are reading about here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in this section is that of conjugal relationship with the Lord, right? And the gopis of Vrindavan are the perfect Ragatmika devotees who have perfected their service of Krishna, their service to Krishna in such a relationship. So therefore, in sadhana bhakti, the first stage is called Vaidi sadhana bhakti. Vaidi means we have some rules and regulations. You have to follow the 4 regulative principles. You have to wake up at this time. You have to do a certain number of rounds a day, and many more other rules and regulations that Rupa Goswami gives us in the Nectar of Devotion on how to practice Vaidi sadhana bhakti, or sadhana bhakti according to rules and regulations. And once we actually get this spontaneity towards loving Krishna, then this Vaidi sadhana bhakti changes into what? Raghanuga sadhana bhakti. But it's still sadhana. We have not perfected it yet. It's sadhana bhakti. So Raghanuga means, you know what Rupanuga means? Followers of Rupa Goswami. So Raghanuga means followers of Ragatmika devotees. So we have this relationship that we think we want to pursue with Krishna. And then we take shelter of a perfected devotee, a Ragatmika devotee, and we follow them in their service to Krishna. So this is Raganuga, Raganuga Bhakti. So once we start doing that, we start perfecting ourselves. And then slowly we get Ruchi, then Ashakti, then Bhava, and then Prema. We are completely pure. So this is the process that we have. And this is very extraordinary because it was not available before. This is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? This is Anarpita Charim Chirat Karunaya Vatirna Kalau Samarpaitu Munnato Jwala Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Dviti Kadamba Sandipitau Sada Hridaya Kandare Spuratuva Sachinandana. This is the very beginning of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells us, Anarpita Charim Chirat. In a very long time, actually, in a very, very long time, Karunaya Vatirna Kalo. This mercy was never bestowed upon anybody, actually. And what was this mercy? Samarpaitum Unnata Ujjvala Svabhakti Shriyam. Krishna came and bestowed upon us this Unnata Ujjvala Rasa. The highest form of rasa, relationship that you can ever have with Krishna. This was bestowed upon all of us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hari Purata Sundara Dviti Kadamba Sandipitav Sada Hridaya Kandare. Let this Lord be always in the caves of my heart. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami prays. So this is what we all have access to. What we have access to is just incredible. So for us to follow in these footsteps of conjugal rasa with Krishna, there is no other way than follow the footsteps of the gopis. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, because he is in this mood of Srimati Radharani, says, Gopi Vartur Padakamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudasa. This is what I want to be, that I want to follow in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. There is no other way. If we have this aspiration to follow Radha and Krishna in conjugal rasa, to have this relationship with Radha and Krishna in conjugal rasa, the only way for us to do it is to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. So this is the process that all of us have, and just by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, this is the beauty, right? Previously, we've read I think in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada says in the purport that when you're being initiated, this is before, even in the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually, at the time of initiation, you get something called Siddha Pranali. Means the spiritual master will actually tell you, this is your identity in the spiritual world, and then this is your practice. This is how you have to practice your devotional service in that particular identity. But what was happening was people were taking it very cheaply. Prabhupada says this is called Prakrita Sahajiya. Prakrita means material. Sahajiya means you take it very easily. So this is something that is incredibly pure and incredibly spiritual and incredibly transcendental that we cannot wrap our minds around. But because this was just given so directly, what people started doing was taking it very cheaply and started acting externally in that capacity. Say you're a peacock in the spiritual world, you start dressing up as a peacock and start cooing as a peacock. So this was becoming actually ridiculous. So what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did was he stopped this practice of Siddha Pranali. He said, no, this is not actually required. And he said, our Siddha Pranali is what? Is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Actually, he said Trinadapi Sunichena, I think. One of these two. It's there in the Nectar of Devotion. So we follow humbly in the mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking us, and chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And everything we need to get, everything that we need to get for our spiritual progress is there in this Mahamantra. We don't need anything else apart from this Mahamantra. Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam. Hello, Nasteva, Gatiranyata. We don't need to take Gati, shelter of anything else other than the holy names of the Lord. Because Krishna is personally present in the holy names of the Lord. And when the time is right, the spiritual master, whether he is physically present or not, will be able to guide us in our relationship with Krishna. So we don't need to take external shelter of anybody else, even in the absence of our spiritual master. And we don't need to take external shelter of anything else apart from the holy names of the Lord and the books of Srila Prabhupada that we have to attain the highest goal of our lives, Krishna Prema. So therefore, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur stopped this process of Siddha Pranali because people were taking it very cheaply, because this is not something that is cheap. Because people think this is just like a normal romance between a boy and a girl, which is absolutely not the case. We'll start reading this. I mean, in the previous verse, Prabhupada gives a very wonderful purport of why this is not the case. Because even in the Ragatmika devotees, we saw 5 relationships. Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Devotion, chapter, I think 15, where he starts talking about Raganuga Bhakti, which all of us should read as a part of the Bhakti Shastri program. It's all there for all of us. So chapter 15, he starts speaking about the Ragatmika devotees. So among the Ragatmika devotees, you could have practically 4, right? Because the Shantarasa is just a passive relationship that we have with the Lord. He categorizes them into 2 categories. He categorizes the Ragatmika devotees as Kamatmika devotees and Sambandhatmika devotees. Although all these 4 kinds of relationships that we can have with Krishna are really relationships, right? Sambandha means relationship. He categorizes just the relationships that the gopis have with Krishna as a separate category in itself in Ragatmika. So Ragatmika, he categorizes the relationships that gopis have as Kamatmika, and then the rest as Sambandhatmika, which goes on to show how incredibly high this relationship that the gopis have with Krishna is. And he goes into great detail of why this is not a normal lusty relationship of the material world that we see. Because what is the definition that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives between lust and love in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? This is very famous. You have to be louder and clearer. It's all very muffled. Yes. So this is what differentiates any activity. To be in the category of lust or to be in the category of love. Right? Lust means we are doing that activity for our own gratification. This is lust. But love has the opposite effect. It has no tinge of selfishness. It is purely for the satisfaction and pleasure of Krishna. And everything that the gopis did or do is purely for the pleasure of Krishna. It has nothing to do with their pleasure. And yet we'll see in this continuing section what kind of effect that particular activity has. Because they're completely selfless and everything that they have to do is so that Krishna can be pleased. So what happens when we act in such a capacity? Right? Actually, it's very difficult for us to comprehend. Everything that we do in this world is so that we can be happy. Isn't it? That's the conditioning that we have. When you go and ask in this corporate world, they have a slogan. Always you should ask, what is in it for me? You've heard this before? Before you do anything, they say, you should ask, what is in it for me? But the gopis don't ask this question. The question that they ask is, what is in it for Krishna? This is the question that they ask. And therefore, we'll see what the result of such an action is in this section. So usually what I've seen is we just read the Bengali and I read the translation and we continue. instead of repeating back and forth every verse. But if you want to do it, we can do it. What do you want to do? Yes. Yes. Go on. Do we have a mic? Ran out of battery? Okay, I'll repeat it. I can. Oh, it might be a long question. Okay. That's nice. We could do that. Please continue chanting while I pick some.
Haribo, Haribo. Just started working. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you so much for such a nice class. I really love it. Always comes back to the holy name, and if it doesn't, we're doing something wrong. So I'm really grateful that you brought it back to the holy name and used that to really send it home. I'm just wondering, it came up actually in yesterday's class also with Prabhupada Priya, this idea of what are we aspiring for as followers of Lord Chaitanya. And what I read in one purport in CC is that we're actually aspiring for Dasya Ras. That's, we get the name Dasi and Das, and so we're not necessarily supposed to aspire for a position of the gopis or these things. We're like, our mood is Dasya Ras, but as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's Dasya Ras in that Madhurya category. Great. Which is, for example, the Manjaris, who are the servants. They're not the ones enjoying Krishna or enjoying Radha. They're the servants of Radha and Krishna's pastimes and the gopis' pastimes. Yes. I guess, my question was just like, can you maybe explain? Because what you were saying was like, we're striving for this Madhurya Ras. But I've heard something else. And also Prabhupada Priya explained yesterday, similar thing.
Yeah, so what is this? Shravanadi Shuddhe Chitta Karaya Udaya. What is the first verse? First beginning of it. Does anybody remember? Sadhya Kabunai. What? Oh, please. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. Shravanadi Shuddhe Chitta Karaya Udaya. What that means is Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. All of us have this eternal love for Krishna in our hearts. Right? Sadhya Kabunai. It's not an external thing. Shravanadi Shuddhe Chitta. So when we start hearing, our consciousness gets purified and this starts Karaya Udaya. This starts rising. Right? So what it says is all of us already have a relationship with Krishna. In one of these 4 or 5 relationships that we just spoke of. So the entire process of bhakti is to reawaken this dormant relationship with Krishna, right? So the entire idea for us is to serve Krishna in that capacity, figuring out what our relationship with Krishna and serving Krishna in that capacity. But even in that capacity, we don't want to serve Krishna directly. So there is no contradiction, right? All of us have an eternal relationship with Krishna, but even in that capacity, it's not that I aspire that I want to be there right next to Krishna and serve and pushing everybody away. The idea is I want to serve the servant of the servant of the servant in such a relationship, right? Everybody wants to serve Srimati Radharani, right? And then Radharani is thinking the same also, that, I want all of them to actually serve Krishna. This is the mood of the spiritual world. So in our parampara at least, it would be Srimati Radharani, and then the primary gopi would be Lalita Sakhi, and then it would be Rupa Manjari. And all of us want to serve Rupa Manjari, not Lalita Sakhi or Srimati Radharani directly. But we want to serve Rupa Manjari in her service of Lalita Sakhi, in her service of Srimati Radharani, like that. And the next section actually will tell us what will happen if we serve in that capacity. This is what I wanted to say. Read at least one verse, at least the next verse if we read, we'll actually know why we want to aspire to serve in such a capacity. Does that make sense? Is that, yeah? Yeah. Anybody have any other questions or comments? Questions? Okay. You had something? I want to just read one verse and then we can discuss, just to see what happens when we are serving in this capacity, right? Okay. So this is Actually, 2 verses I want to read. Sorry. So we'll do 207 and 208 and we'll stop. Okay. Shakira swabhava eka akatya kathana Krishna sa. Okay, we'll repeat. Krishna saha nija leelaya nahi Shakira mana. There is an inexplicable fact about the natural inclinations of the gopis. The gopis never want to enjoy themselves with Krishna personally. Right? In the previous verse, it said the pastimes of Radha and Krishna are actually incomplete without the gopis. Right? It's a very necessary component of such a relationship. And yet, the gopis are not thinking, oh, we are so important. Without us, this pastime can actually not be complete. Let me be the center. That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking they never really want to enjoy themselves with Krishna. We'll see why. Krishna saha radhikara leela je karaya. Nija shuka hoite tate koti shuka paya. The happiness of the gopis increases 10 million times when they serve to engage Shri Radha and Krishna in their transcendental pastimes. So they try to directly serve Krishna, okay, they get some happiness. But when they try to actually serve Radha and Krishna in the capacity of uniting them rather than directly serving them, their happiness increases 10 million times. This is the nature of service in the spiritual world. Whereas here, we want to be the center of service, right? I want to do this. I want to do that. And we think we'll be so happy. But yet, the opposite is actually true. When we are actually trying to serve our spiritual master in his service to his spiritual master, or serve the devotees in our community in their service then the spiritual happiness that we derive is actually incredible. And how this happens is there in the Gita. Do you know? What this word for Govinda, oh, I gave you the answer. What this word for Krishna, the word for Krishna who gives pleasure to the senses is called Govinda. Right? And in the Gita, Arjuna actually calls Krishna by so many names. Govinda, Madhusudana, Madhava, like that. And the Acharyas give us so many different commentaries on why he calls Krishna by a specific name. And in one specific instance, in the first chapter, Arjuna calls Krishna Govinda. Govinda means, Krishna, you're Govinda. You're supposed to give pleasure to my senses. And yet you're actually giving me misery. You're asking me to fight this brutal war where I have to kill my loved ones. Right? So Prabhupada explains what Govinda means in that purport. How we should look at this word of Krishna giving us pleasure. Does anybody remember how Prabhupada writes this purport of how we should think of Krishna as Govinda? How many of you have done your Bhakti Shastri? Yeah. So Arjuna's point of view was, Krishna, you have to be the person who's giving me pleasure. Right? This was how he was saying. You have to give me pleasure, but instead you are giving me misery. But what Prabhupada says is how Krishna is called Govinda is by us serving Krishna, we automatically get pleasure. It's not that Krishna is our order carrier. Krishna, do this, do that so that I can be happy. That is not how Krishna is Govinda. How Krishna is Govinda means we serve Krishna, and just through our service, Krishna is pleased, and because we are parts and parcels of Krishna, we are automatically pleased through that. And he gives his example of how we put food in the stomach, and naturally all the limbs of the body are nourished. And if the hand thinks, oh, I'm just going to eat by myself, and puts the hand in the food, I'm not going to feed the stomach. All I'm doing is just work, and the stomach is enjoying everything. Why should I put food in my stomach? So let me just put the food on myself. And the hand is just putting the food in the bowl and then holding it for hours together, and it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It's not really getting strong, right? So the word Govinda, Prabhupada explains, is that just by us serving Krishna, Krishna becomes happy. And when Krishna becomes happy, all of us naturally are happy. Like that, the gopis are naturally serving Radha and Krishna. And when Radha and Krishna are happy, because we are parts and parcels, we are happy. And the incredible fact is, this is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. The very reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, the external reason and internal reasons are given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The external reason was that he wanted to freely distribute love for Godhead. Right? But the internal reason was that he just couldn't understand how Srimati Radharani was so happy just by serving him. She's more happy than I am. She's really serving me. And yet Srimati Radharani is feeling incredibly more happy than the happiness that I feel. So I want to experience that. And therefore he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to experience that happiness of being the servant of the Lord in that capacity. So this is the gopis. This is their mood of how they want to serve Radha and Krishna. So yeah, this is what I wanted to say. So therefore, in that capacity, when they serve, then the happiness that they derive is 10 million times more. Charitamrita says. Yes. So Nanda Braja Prabhu had the question, and then Mataji, and then we can go. It's very flaky today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. You were saying that all we need is the Maha Mantra, and my mind said, but I need food. And I thought, just ask my wife.
Yes,
After
yes.
a while, I haven't eaten. Then I was, okay, a little bit of intelligence came in that, that Krishna's actually providing us everything, right? So
Yes.
that we chant Hare Krishna and Krishna brings everything. But we're chanting Hare Krishna and we're following the process. And we can see that some people get distracted, right?
Mm.
They get off, they have troubles. So I'm wondering, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're following the process, and we can't be sure that everything that's coming to us is Krishna's arrangement. So how do we understand this?
Yeah. That's why this is could be a cliched answer, but this is the only answer, is that we need sadhu sangha. We need mentors who can actually guide us properly. Till we come to this point where jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahitah, Krishna says. At one point, we'll actually be in direct touch with the Paramatma. At that point, we know that it's the Paramatma guiding us. Till we come to that point, we really need others who are guiding us. And primarily, first, the spiritual master. Right? The spiritual master is there so that we can serve the spiritual master and follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And if we have any questions, we can actually ask the spiritual master whether we can do such a thing or not do such a thing. This is the process that Krishna has given us. Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Nobody is stopping us from asking questions. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So, and another thing is, you said the first part is people start falling away sometimes through this process. Is that what we have to know is, through this process of devotional service, what we are cultivating more and more and more is faith in Krishna. This is what differentiates between the three categories of devotees, right? We have the Kanishta Adhikaris, we have the Madhyama Adhikaris, and we have the Uttama Adhikaris. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says the quality of a Chaitanya Adhikari, the Kanishta Adhikari, is that their faith is komal, Shraddha is komal. It's very soft, very tender, so it can easily be shaken. But as we continue our practice of bhakti in our association of devotees, then our faith becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and we can not, things cannot easily shake us. At that point, we cannot really go away. But still, we have questions. Therefore, we need association of devotees, we need mentors, we need spiritual masters who can actually guide us properly. This is the only way. There is no other way. Is that okay? You had a follow-up? Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
I have a couple of points, and one point I was thinking
First,
about.
I have to say, Anuradha Mataji gives the Chaitanya Charitamrita class on a regular basis, and she does an incredible job. Today, I'm like a substitute to a substitute. Actually, Mukunda Datta Prabhu was supposed to give, and yeah. So.
Thank you, Prabhu. I was just thinking about Ragatmika. Prabhupada, so much he is, insisting on the point that like how we cannot think we are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot become Supreme Personality of Godhead no matter who we become.
Yes.
But we cannot become Supreme Personality of Godhead. We cannot become Ragatmika Bhaktas. It's
Correct.
as offensive as the first one. So I was thinking that we cannot become Yashodamai, we cannot become Radharani or Lalita Sakhi.
Yeah.
We can follow in the footsteps, is what Prabhupada is writing so strongly in the previous purport. And then I was thinking, when you're talking about the steps towards prema, this took me a time, to understand that one is not exclusive of the other. Like when you have prema, you have the topmost faith. It's not that you go to the prema and you forget about the faith, but prema has the topmost faith.
Yeah.
Similarly, when we are after anartha nivritti comes nishtha. At nishtha, anartha nivritti is still going on. It's not
Correct.
that we are free of all the anarthas and then we have nishtha.
Correct.
So as we go on moving, and I have heard from, this is Bharat Maharaj when, he was at the stage of bhava,
Yes.
and still he fell. Because prema is the only time when you are completely free of the anarthas.
Yeah.
So that point I wanted to speak. And the last one I was thinking, I don't know if you mentioned, but before this, Prabhupada is writing, and of course Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami or Rayananda is mentioning that the gopis, like Radharani wants them to serve gopis, like Radharani wants
It'll come in this section.
yeah,
that we're reading.
gopis.
Yeah.
Radharani wants gopis to be enjoyed by Krishna. And Krishna is not so much interested in the gopis as much in Radharani. But as it says that, I've recently heard that Radharani likes, whatever Radharani likes, Krishna does, and whatever Radharani does, Krishna likes. So, because Radharani wants him to enjoy with them, Krishna goes for it. So I was thinking it is not, Prabhupada often quotes this as duye lage hura huri, like, they compete with each other. Radharani wants to give happiness to the gopis wants to give to Radharani, and it's always a spiritual transcendental competition. It is not that it's for me, but it's always for Radha Krishna, and there for them is what I wanted to do. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Hare
And
Krishna.
yes, Prabhupada Priyamataji. Actually, yeah. Yeah, Atari had a question. He raised his hand first, and then you can go. Is that okay? Oh, you wanted to ask a question also, Sam? Okay. And then you can come after Prabhupada Priyamataji. Yeah.
Thank you. So I wanna observe or analyze this. In the purport or in the verse, it says that by serving the servants or the mood of the gopis, they get like 10 million times the happiness. And it's happiness that I want to examine, because it seems as if, oh, I should be a servant of the gopis or be in their mood because I get happiness. But for me, that's just like, oh, I'm just desiring to be happy. And it's like, is happiness truly the only end? Is that what I'm seeking? Is that my eternal aim, is just to be happy 10 million times the amount I could be doing something else? So then it was, came to the point, what does Krishna want? What is Krishna's desire for the living entities? Is Krishna desiring that we be happy? And him desiring us be happy, does it like lead naturally to like engaging with the supreme good, which is the possession of the supreme person? And that's like how we get to that ultimate aim. Is that like the entire purport of the Krishna science? It's by, I want my living parts and parcels to be happy. That's just like the natural aim of why they exist. And in order for them to be happy, the most supreme happiness, summum bonum, they have to devote themselves to me. This is the result or the suggestion from my supreme intelligence. Is that Krishna science?
Yeah, this is it. So all of us have a relationship with the Lord, and only in that relationship can all of us be happy. And Krishna wants all of us to be happy. Krishna says, Aham bija pradapita. I am the seed-giving father of everybody. So naturally, Krishna wants, like any parent, wants all his children to be happy, right? So therefore, Krishna has given us this process of devotional service by which we can perfect ourselves and become happy. And this is what Prabhupada would often say, chant and be happy. Yes, you wanted to add something? Is it on the same thing? Yeah. Okay, quick thing, and then Prabhupada Priyamataji.
Remembering Ashashyava Padaratam Pinashtimam. So it's not that happiness doesn't necessarily mean the same thing when we're in spiritual consciousness that it might mean in material consciousness. This last verse of Shikshastika means that even if you handle me roughly or trample me or make me, upset, if you're happy, I am happy. And this is what we hear constantly from the pure devotees, is that even if I'm distressed, if you're happy, I'm happy. So happiness doesn't necessarily mean like what it means to us on the material level. This is my assumption, at least.
Yeah. Ultimately, we want to please the Lord, and when pleasing the Lord, we become happy. That's it. Basically, you got the Krishna science right. Thank you. Sorry it came to you so late. We got it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh no, I'll repeat it.
Krishna. Hari Hari.
It's an indication.
So let me ask quick before this goes off. You have a question about the following in the footsteps of the Ragatmika Bhaktas? Because usually we think of, the way it's explained is that, an associate of Krishna in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda, the gopis, cowherd boys, like those are the Ragatmikas. But
Actually,
also some...
it's Vrishnis also. Yadus and Vrishnis also.
Okay.
Prabhupada writes in the NOD.
Right.
Yeah.
But also we hear, there's one prayer, I can't remember where it is, but that we should meditate on our spiritual masters in the form of a gopi and serve under that spiritual master in the form of a gopi's guidance. So that seems also like a Ragatmika kind of situation where we're serving our guru, we're serving Krishna through our gurus, but we're meditating on our gurus in the form of a gopi, eternal associate of Radha and Krishna.
Yeah.
And it kind of, it sort of makes sense because it may be difficult for us to connect with, Mother Yashoda or, Vrinda Devi or... And the whole principle is that we need guidance. We need to follow in the footsteps. We really need to know if we're doing that correctly. So how are we going to know if we're doing that correctly if we don't have like a living person to tell us?
The relationship that we have with our spiritual master, of course, we cultivate that relationship when he's living. This is the point. It's not that we get our initiation with a picture of our spiritual master or with Srila Prabhupada. But we have this relationship through initiation and we cultivate it with our spiritual master. And this relationship that we have with our spiritual master is eternal. This is the question that, you remember in Miracle on 2nd Avenue, Mukunda Prabhu at that time asked Srila Prabhupada, he has a big health scare. And then he asks Prabhupada, who should we take shelter of after you leave? And then Prabhupada actually starts having tears and says, my spiritual master was a Vaikuntha man. So we really don't need to take shelter of anybody else apart from our spiritual master, if we have cultivated that relationship when our spiritual master was present. Because this relationship is not a material, physical relationship, the spiritual master can still interact with us even when he is not physically present. That's one thing. And the other thing I wanted to, is that
I guess my question is more like, could the Ragatmikas be walking amongst us?
Oh.
Because we hear about our acharyas, the six Goswamis, their followers, they're all, gopis, manjaris, like that.
But how would we know? We wouldn't know, right? Unless they reveal themselves to us, it's very hard for us to know. So that would become a very slippery slope if we start figuring out, oh, this person could be that, this person, let me follow this. So at least my spiritual master says, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti means we start learning the piano, right? We're starting learning the piano. Initially our keys, we cannot do it. And at one point we can really play the piano without seeing anything, like chak, 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 chak. But then the raga, the mood is not there. Then the spiritual master comes in with a violin and says, okay, you're playing the piece, right? But this is the mood in which you play the piece, and starts directing us in such a raga. So this can happen with our spiritual master. We don't really need an external person. But can you pick? Oh, you've already taken it out. But you can go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. I think this is chapter 8. Chapter 8 is Damodar Leela, or chapter 9? Text 3. You should read Srila Prabhupada's purport. He precisely says, this is the description of Mother Yashoda, on what she's wearing, how she's churning Krishna's butter. And you've read that purport, I'm sure, where Prabhupada says if somebody wants to follow in the footsteps of paternal relationship with Krishna, one should meditate on how Mother Yashoda is dressed and things like that. Basically, it's giving us access to how we can practice Raganuga Bhakti. So that's my thinking, at least. Is that okay? Thank you. Yes, Aprameya Krishna Prabhu. I don't know, how long do we do this weekend thing? Yes. I think what we should do is, if people want to go for breakfast, please break. I will not feel bad. And if people have questions, they can stay. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
I just want to add what I heard about following the gopis. So it is said that gopi is not a physical female body only. Gopis like Indra and Brahma, these are the designation. So gopi is also a designation to a person who is fully surrendered to Krishna, whose only aim of life is to give pleasure to Krishna. So once Prabhupada disciple asked this question to Prabhupada that Prabhupada in Raganuga Bhakti we have to follow a Brajvasi. And Prabhupada said, yes, you can follow me.
Of course. Prabhupada is the Brajvasi. But I don't understand. Like, will we call Nanda Maharaj a gopi? Because he's fully surrendered to Krishna.
Gopi is more like a mood.
I don't think so. It could be a very tangential reading of the word. But gopi literally means young damsel. Right? So
It's not that following gopi means you will go to the Krishna's pastime and will choose the, okay, I'll follow Lalita, Vishakha or Sudevi or Roop Manjari like that. It is said that it's more like a bhava.
yeah. I mean,
That is what I heard.
yeah, I mean, one thing we have to say, I have to say is these are some things that are way beyond my pay grade. at least my adhikar. Previous purport, we can do that. We can read that. But yeah, at some point this will be revealed to us. We have to have that faith and confidence that through the process of devotional service, when we are ready, things will be revealed to us. Yes, Jai Prabhu. Yes. Should we stop then? I think I can stay back and if we have questions. I mean, we should break. Yeah, I can be here, and if anybody has any questions, yes, we can do that. But we should respect time and stop here. Thank you all so much for coming and listening. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai.